Our call is important to us and will be answered by our next available administrator. Please note that your call may be recorded for monitoring and training purposes. Welcome back to your duty, Shasta. How can I help?
Good afternoon, Shasta. I'm looking to speak to Christopher Browell. It's regarding my brother, Mr. Talib Hussain, date of birth 59/1960. I've just got a missed call from him. I'm just trying to get in touch with him again.
Sure, can I take your name, please?
My name's Sajjad Hussain.
Sajjad Hussain.
Yeah.
Alright, and can you just repeat your brother's date of birth, please?
15/9/1960.
Can you confirm his address for me, please?
Yeah, number 20 Primary Way, Bradford, BD24RT.
Just bringing up your brother's record. And I'm just going to pop you on hold while I try Chris' number for you. Is that okay?
Okay.
Hi, Shazad.
Yes, hello, Mr. Browell. How are we doing?
I'm okay. You're right.
Yeah, I'm okay. I think this phone doesn't ring. I mean, I tried ringing you myself, so it went straight to voice message. So I just got your message. Can you just give me some clarity of what's going on?
So I've spoken with. Well, I've tried to speak with the financial protection team. They told me that who I need to speak with, and I've tried to contact them. I've sent them and left the voicemail for them to call me back, and they haven't called me back. So I haven't been able to speak with anyone who will be able to provide a response to your request the other day. So
Look, with respect to Mr. Browell, everything seems kind of vague and up in the air, doesn't it? I mean, like to start with, who have you you contacted the financial protection team? Are you talking about Mr. Muller?
I was, but he's on annual leave.
Okay, so who are you talking? Who are you talking about in the financial protection team?
I think there's someone called Imran.
Okay, is Imran my brother's appointee?
I was told that Imran was the right person to speak with, and I've tried to contact him.
Okay, all right.
So I don't know whether they say that that's the appointee. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know how it works.
Oh, okay, no problem. But I mean, obviously, look, when we last spoke, it was quite simple. My brother's made a verbal request to you in person. He just wanted to know how much money you have. I think you would agree that's a very simple request. And then for him to be stonewalled, like he needs to write letters and so on and so forth. So we just want to get we can't even get the basics straight. That's a very simple request. Anybody can go to the bank and just say, press a button and say how much money do I have got in my account. And so, like, obviously so you were not able to get a figure from the financial protection team.
haven't been able to speak with anyone who'd be able to give me the figure yet. I've sent an email and I've been phoning all day.
Okay, all right. So outside of for Imran from the financial protection team, who else have you contacted?
So I contacted the office number of the financial protection team. I was told that I'd need to speak with Imran. I've tried to phone Imran. I've sent an email to Imran and I haven't received a reply.
Oh, okay, all right. So, look, with respect, Mr. Browell, this is just like we're just being given the runaround here, aren't we? Really? I mean, it's a very simple request. Is it only Imran that you need to speak to, or is there somebody else?
I was told I asked to speak with Ishmael, but I said, is there anyone else I can speak with in Ishmael's absence? And I was told to speak with Imran. Okay, all right. Have you spoke to Mr.
Mullah regarding Talib in the past?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So you've spoken to him in the past, right? The financial protection team, are they? Who's his deputy? Who's his appointee?
I don't know how it works, Shazad. I just know that I need to speak to the financial protection team.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's an individual person is an appointee or a deputy.
Because, you know, the thing is, originally I've rang up, you know, the DWP years ago, and I've explained to them, look, he's not getting his money, you know, like, you know, and I've raised red flag concern, safeguarding, so on and so forth, with them, with the DWP. They've just told me to bugger off and said, look, you're not the appointee. We're not going to speak to you. Go speak to the appointee. And I said, who's the appointee? And they said, Bradford Council. Now, you couldn't understand, Bradford Council is not an individual person. So there needs to be somebody who I need to speak to. I've been speaking to Mr. Muller in the past. Then they've told me you can't speak to anybody other than sending them emails. I've refused to do so. Now, the purpose of the inquiry is a very simple thing. Come on, Mr. Browell. That my brother has asked you a simple question. And in response, you know, you've relayed to us that he needs to put that in writing. Who told you that he needs to put in writing? Was that Mr. Muller?
Yes, it was, yeah.
All right. So Mr. Muller from the financial protection team previously has told you that in order for Talib to find out how much money he's got, he needs to put it in writing. Yes? And now subsequently... Yeah? And now then when you subsequently informed me, look, he needs to put it in writing, and I've explained that is a form of discrimination because he can't write. And that would be, and it's not necessary. And if he was going to write something, he's already authorized me to act on his behalf. So, you know, so that's where we were when we left it, or when we last spoke on Monday. Now, subsequently, you've not had an opportunity to speak to somebody, but I don't think Mr. Muller's the right person to speak to as well. Is there not somebody more senior? I mean, first, so can you tell me who told you to translate the letter?
That was just agreed. That was.
No, but who? Was that Mr. Muller?
No, I don't think it was, no.
All right, so who was that who drafted, who wrote the letter in English?
Well, it was the legal department.
Okay, all right, so who in the legal department?
It was just the legal department.
Oh, come on. Yeah, you come on. Look, I can't deal with vaguenesses and abstractions, all right? The council, the financial deputy, these are departments. Was it Mr. Kenner?
I think it might have been. Could have been.
Oh, come on, Mr. Look, what's with might have been? You understand? It's like you're asking.
No, but the thing is, it makes me feel uncomfortable, Shazad, because I don't want you to try and cause trouble for people when I don't know if I'm supposed to be divulging their names and things like that.
Okay.
I just feel like you're trying to extract information from me.
Okay, all right. Okay. We know, with respect, I admire your openness and honesty on this, okay? But I think with regards to this matter, the alternative is that you're asking me to deal with abstractions. And I don't think that's fair as well. And you're not asking me to deal with abstractions. I'm acting on behalf of Talib, okay? Now, can you understand? You're right, okay, fair enough. You don't want to get somebody else in trouble. I understand that. And you think I'm trying to extract information from you. I understand that. But you're not like working privately. You don't have a right to anonymity. And this is what concerns me, is that, look, my mum's died, all right? Is your mum alive?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, my mum died. Talib's mum died. For the last, a year, we didn't get to see her, right? Subsequently, we don't know what cares happened to her. We don't know what, we don't know nothing about what's happened, all right? We were removed from the premises, as you know, and what's happened is that the local authority wants to operate in an anonymous way. And it doesn't work like that. You can't, as a public authority, you are accountable, so people are held accountable. Now, if it's not, my understanding is it Kirsten England then? Because there needs to be somebody that I need to speak to, senior, because when I ask you some questions, you're saying, look, Mr. Hussain, I don't know. But yeah, here we're in this situation where I can't speak to the decision maker. Look, I think it's only very reasonable for me to say, look, I need to speak to the decision maker. You're not the decision maker, are you? Okay, so you're not the decision maker, you're just basically the mouthpiece of the decision maker, yes? And, with regards to the allegation that I'm trying to extract information from you, the converse can equally be made that you're trying to extract information from me. Like, for example, has my brother been registered? Is he taking his medication? All the questions that they were asked. And I think at this stage, I need to speak to somebody more senior now. I know the most senior person from yourself is Vicina Brown. She's refusing to speak to me, all right? I know the more senior person from her is Nadia Khan, all right? She's refusing to speak to me. Her senior is Mark Truin. I don't believe he's back from, his secondment, and I don't think he's dealing with it. Then the most senior person from that is the Director for Health and Wellbeing, Mr. McKenna. McKenna. Ian, I think, is it Ian McKenna, the Health and Wellbeing Director. Previously, it's been Parveen Akhtar, who's been the solicitor, all right? And above that is Kirsten England. So, which one of those names is it? Or is there another person? I need to speak to somebody, the decision maker. It has to be somebody, all right? Because, we're just running around in circles. Now, every day that goes by is a day that my brother's not getting access to his money. Every day that goes by is a day that my brother's not getting access to any health services. Every day that goes by is a day that, there's an uncertainty regarding his accommodation, so he's not got any security. So I think even at this stage, for us to, it seems, it seems to me, since you're being open and honest, I'll be open and honest as well. I think it seems to me that the Bradford Council, what you're waiting to do is you've created an environment that's hostile for Talib. Namely, no access to healthcare, no access to money, no access to any services. And it seems to me that you're sitting back and waiting for a crisis to happen. And then, and it seems to me that what you want to do is once a crisis ensues, you want to then take over and remove my role and involvement in Talib's life. That's what it seems to me, because that's exactly what you've done in my mother's case. So can you please tell me that, first of all, it's very, very frustrating dealing with somebody who's got no answers. And number one, and number two is it's very frustrating dealing with somebody who's not being able to do anything to assist us. Now, Talib has asked you when you last visited in May, like, how much money have I got? And now we're in August, and you can't give me a simple answer. And this is a conversation we've had several times.
So I've sent an email asking Imran, saying that Talib's asked in person and yourself have asked for a balance of Talib's account. I've said that the request would need to be made in writing, that yourself understandably says that this is discrimination as Talib is unable to write. Please provide a response to the best course of action.
Yeah.
All I can do is wait for a response and let you know.
Okay, I understand this, but how does that resolve anything? How is my brother going to get access to his money?
Yeah, so I mean that's why I've said you'd probably have to kind of follow the legal route, and I don't that it's not really. I don't have the answers because no one's going to tell me the answers.
Okay, all right, Mr. Browell. Now, have you contacted my brother's GP practice?
don't think so.
No, you
I think
either.
I've spoken. Not recently, anyway.
No, have you? When was the last time you spoke to my brother's GP practice?
I think it depends which GP practice. I think I was at a meeting several months ago with there was someone from the GP practice in Oldham, I think.
Okay, and what was this meeting regarding?
Just general way forward, how we can support Talib.
Okay, well, why has there been a meeting held between you and the GP practice to the exclusion of me as his carer, nearest relative and representative, and to Talib?
I think part of it was because there was some problems with with the GP and yourself and finding how best Talib could be provided healthcare. So it was to do with that. So I think that was why you maybe not invited to the meeting.
Wait on a minute. Just tell me which GP practice was present at this meeting.
There's the one called Greenbank or something like that.
Okay, all right, Greenbank. But I've not. But what issue have I had with Greenbank?
No, I think you would have. I think Talib was referred to Greenbank.
Yes.
Because the other GP service had referred him to them. They're a specialist GP service.
Yes. So because the thing is, I believe this meeting may have taken in April, because at this meeting, you've informed them that we're no longer living in Oldham.
Okay, right. I don't know. Right.
Now, I want to know, obviously this is a concern to me, is that, just tell me quite clearly, like my brother has a right to access a GP. That's just like anybody else does. All right. Now if there's a third party, like for example, if I need, he's authorized me to act on his behalf. All right. And through that authority that he's granted me, I've made a subject access request and got his medical records. So I have authority to do that. Can I ask, where does your authority arise for you to speak to the GP practice at Greenbank, his present GP, regarding Talib? Where does that authority arise from?
So I think you've asked that before. Has that been made aware? It's standard practice.
No, it can't be. It can't be standard practice. I'm sorry, but like the thing is, you have a GP, all right. Your GP is your information, your relationship with your GP is private and confidential. Because obviously you may look to there might be things and conditions that you don't want anybody else. So it's a very private and confidential relationship between any one person, a patient, and a GP. Now,
I think with regards to safeguarding concerns she's had, so I don't know which particular safeguarding concerns, but general safeguarding concerns about Talib's welfare.
Okay, but all right, okay. Okay, that's fair enough. See, this issue here, it seems the fact that the word safeguarding overrides any other kind of like legal provision and stuff. All right, so I can use one word like safeguarding and go into your bank account and get all your bank information. Can I do that? Or it seems that you've used it. I mean, for example, safeguarding is a concern raised by somebody, and that's investigated and closed. So it seems that Talib is perpetually in safeguarding mode, which then authorizes a council in a different county, basically Bradford, to get access to his medical records. Now, all right, let's just focus in on the safeguarding. What exact legal provisions are you saying that allows you to get access to his medical records?
I don't think we have, as far as I'm aware, I've not got access to
no, you have.
medical records.
No, you have.
From older.
No, you have.
There might have been communication with his GP at a professionals meeting, but I don't think we've asked for any, as far as I'm aware, any medical records.
No, you have got complete access to his medical records. So I'll just explain to you. You have updated his address, all right? You under safeguarding, you've updated him, you've told them that he does no longer living there. Number one. Number two is that they've informed you regarding his prescriptions. You've asked inquiries regarding is he getting his prescriptions. They've informed you, all right, that is that is access to his medical records, all right? Because you've then, yeah, so that is specific. That's correct, isn't it? You have informed them that we've moved addresses, yes?
I think they might have asked if he's moved address. I'm not sure. I think
But
they might
irrespective,
have sent an email or a letter asking if he's moved address.
All right, irrespective, you know, whether they've inquired or not, but can you understand? I'm just trying to understand that, look, this is the patient. Talib's the patient. The GP practice is Greenbank, whatever GP that may be. So there's a one-to-one relationship. I am a third party in that relationship because my brother has legally authorized me to act on his behalf. The GP practice have accepted that I'm a third party because I made a request as a third party for his medical records. So they've given me that. So they recognize I'm a third party with Talib's consent and permission. I just need to know how that information has been disclosed to you, because I tell you what the consequences are. Talib has received a letter from the NHS in Oldham for diabetic eye test screening. All right, he's received that from the NHS in Oldham, whatever that one is, and at his home address in Bradford. So I was alarmed and dismayed that how does the NHS equivalent to Bradford Care Trust in Oldham know about a change of his address? And I can't take Talib to get a diabetic screening test under these circumstances, all right? Because there's an interference from another party, namely Bradford Council, in Talib's medical care. And there are clandestine meetings taking place where neither Talib is present and where neither his representative or somebody who's acting as his third party, myself, are present. So basically, that relationship is now sabotaged. So when you say to me, like, you know, is Talib taking his medication? Can you get him registered with a different GP? The answer is no. We're not going to comply because there is no sense of privacy anymore. And number two is that, how do we know at this meeting that you have not influenced the GP to give him medication that's detrimental to him? You see, that the thing is, Mr. Browell, that between the patient and the doctor is a fundamental relationship of trust, because the patient is relying upon the doctor to give him some medication that he's going to consume. Now, if that relationship of trust is broken down, can you understand that we can't take any medication? Because how do we know that the doctor's not poisoning us? So by having this meeting where we are neither invited, neither informed, where information is toing and froing, you have basically sabotaged my brother's access to medication. So can you understand? So not only are you controlling all of his finances, you are now interfering in the patient-doctor relationship under the umbrella term of safeguarding. So do you understand this? We cannot, with respect, when you take a tablet and you put it in your mouth under the prescription that a doctor's given you, you are confirming that you trust the doctor. Otherwise, you have a right to refuse because you think that there's no trust there. Now, unfortunately, you're telling me that I'm trying to help you in the letter. I'm just going back to the letter that we're going to try to assist you in getting another GP. What's the point? Do you know how many GPs we've changed? And at each stage, you're interfering with the patient-doctor relationship. And this is exactly what happened in my mother's case. You're having clandestine, multidisciplinary professional meetings where the subject of those meetings is me.
I think I can understand what you're saying, Shazad. I think the problem is that the flip side to that is that we don't really get to see know you think that it doesn't need to be allocated to the CMHT, but because we're unable to see him, that then means that we try to monitor his welfare in a different way, which has had to be via GPs. But I can understand your concerns about that. But there's also kind of another perspective.
Okay.
We're not able to.
That's fine.
Making sure that
Okay. So this once again, you're confirming what my fears are, because first of all, it's not the case that you've not got to see Talib, all right? You saw Talib, didn't you? But the other side is that. Yeah, but you see, the other side is that, look, let me just try to explain this to you so you can understand it in basic terms, and forgive me for the vulgarity. You know, the difference between one of the most beautiful things that one human can do to another person, all right, I'll tell you now, is to make love to another person. That's the most beautiful thing that one human being can do to another person, is to make love to them. And I'm sure you as a young man, all right, have expressed love through that means, all right, making love to somebody. Now also, one of the most vile and the most repugnant things one human being can do to another person is rape somebody, all right? Can you understand both love making and rape are exactly indistinguishable because it is an act of sex, all right? The only difference, the difference between one of the lowest things that one human being can do to another and one of the most highest things from one person can do to another, i.e. make love or rape somebody, is the distinction between consent, all right? This is why consent is so important. In the absence of consent, the act of having sex is rape, okay? With consent, it's lovemaking. So in that context, the key factor here is consent. Everything I do, I get my brother's consent, verbal, all right, or otherwise. Everything that you do as the local authority is without consent. So this is the thing. You want to meet, you say you can't see Talib. But does Talib want to see you? And does Talib consent to this? See, the reality is this, that you're saying, well, there's another perspective. It doesn't really matter what the other perspectives are. The law works around consent. Because if you can look, I'm sure you've been a young man too. You've been out on a Friday night. You've gone out. I'm not sure your background, but irrespective, people go out on a Friday night, go meet somebody. They go back, they have sex. All right. Next morning they say, look, I didn't consent to it. This is rape. All right. That's the difference. So when I'm talking, I'm trying to understand, where's the consent? You're saying we want to see Talib. What right do you have to see Talib if Talib does not want to see you? We have a right, Talib has a right to ask for services, which everybody does. Like, for example, Talib can go to a hospital, just like you can go to a hospital, because the NHS is free. But in my brother Talib's circumstances, let me explain something to you. I have been really worried in the past about Talib, to a point where I wanted to take him to hospital, but I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore. Because in the past, because of this, what actions you're doing, you're not acting with consent. Right? You're not acting with his permission. Basically, you don't think Talib is deserving of consultation for his consent. And when Talib has one.
His capacity is contested, isn't it?
No, it's not.
That's why.
Okay, all right. You're saying his capacity is contested. But why has this not been resolved? It is because you, the local. So thank you. So one of the things is that you're saying we don't need Talib's consent because we hold the opposition on opinion that he lacks capacity. And I and my brother are of the opinion that he does have capacity. All right. So that you're right. So that is the contention there. Yeah. All right. So that's the contention there. But when we spoke last time, I said, has it ever been established that he lacks capacity? All right. And you said, well, no. In fact, quite the opposite. In March 2019, Vicina Brown went to see Talib. in Oldham, all right, on that particular occasion, and she had a consultation with him, and he said, look, I want to stay here. So he had capacity, and you understand. Then you're saying, well, he has capacity for that little specific thing, but we haven't. Where has it been? And we had this conversation. When has it ever been established that my brother lacks capacity in anything? And the reason that his capacity is contested is because of your refusal to accept that he has capacity. All right. So yeah, there's a key aspect here. You're saying we don't need consent because his capacity is contested, but the reason that is
I'm not saying that, Shazad. There was a court order, or it was going through the courts where it was requested that Talib could be seen by Dr. Todd for his capacity to be assessed. So it's not me saying this. This is the court order.
Okay.
To that.
Okay.
Again, I'm allocated to these care coordinators.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, the thing is, previously it was your colleague Baljit Nota that was trying to liaise with the previous GP practice, Sun Valley, trying to arrange Dr. Todd's visit. Now, what actually had happened was that, unbeknown to you, the council, and unbeknown to Sun Valley, is that I already had got my brother a mental capacity assessment paid privately, paid over £500-600 to get a private, independent mental capacity assessment done. All right. So I already got that done in August. Then subsequently, the matter went to court, and the arrangements were being made by Sun Valley, by Bradford Council, to get Dr. Todd's involvement through Baljit Nota, your colleague. Now, prior to this, I had asked his GP practice to get him assessed, to make a referral for a mental capacity assessment. Having paid one for myself, holding that private, I asked his GP to go, make a referral. Now, his GP, Sun Valley, attempted to make a referral, but you interfered as the Bradford Council and said, no, we want to get our own assessor, which is Dr. Todd. Now, Dr. Todd is the same person that was involved in my mum's case. So Dr. Todd, as far as I am concerned, cannot carry out that assessment. It's a conflict of interest, because Dr. Todd's been privately commissioned to railroad through the narrative that my brother lacks capacity. So basically, the outcome has already been commissioned by Bradford Council, as had previously been done in my mum's case. Dr. Todd came to visit my mother while she was sleeping, and he carried out a mental capacity assessment while she was asleep, half awake. All right, she was sleeping. All right, it was forced through. He concluded, she lacks capacity. Then, obviously, subsequently, another person spoke to my mum over like a few minutes. All right, my sister was interfering. I think Dr. Singh, and there was no proper capacity assessment. Basically, it is you, the council, all right, through your own close relationship with the Bradford District Care Trust psychologists and abuse of power, that you were trying to force through the Dr. Todd's report, all right, and several attempts were made and all failed upon, where eventually in February this year, threats were being made that if Talib is not presented, then I'm going to go to prison, basically, of contempt of court. On that particular occasion, Talib was so distressed, he ended up in hospital. And I had to wait and take him to accident and emergency that particular day, and waited over 12, 14 hours in accident and emergency, because he was so distressed at what you're doing to him, all right, and not accepting this. And then subsequently, in February this year, have now made everybody aware, look, actually, he's already been assessed, and it's an independent assessment, and you cannot contest this. So Talib does have mental capacity, all right? And so now, where we are now in August, is that you cannot move forward. That's the end of story. You can't get him assessed, all right? He's not going to be assessed because he's already been assessed. And so this is all just messing us around now, isn't it? Look, the fundamental issue here, that you've accepted that consent is only relevant where somebody has mental capacity. There is no issue with regarding my brother's mental capacity. You can make the argument that he's got schizophrenia or paranoid schizophrenia, but my brother's had paranoid schizophrenia. No, sorry, he's got schizophrenia. We contest that he's paranoid. He's not paranoid about anything. All right, so it's schizophrenia, and he's had schizophrenia since 1986. So what? All right, just because somebody's got schizophrenia does not mean that they, AKA, this person has mental health problems, therefore he lacks capacity. And you know, we've gone through this before, that the mental capacity says that you must assume, make the assumption that somebody has capacity, and then must be the least restrictive and, you know, helping him and stuff. So as it presently stands, the court case cannot go forward, because the court case has to now conclude that my brother has capacity. If my brother has mental capacity, this undermines your criminal conviction against me. So that's, yeah, I understand this, but look, Mr. Browell, I'm being courteous here. We can speak on Friday again, but the problem line is that you, the local authority, are putting my brother in a crisis situation and waiting for something wrong to happen. He's got no access to any of his money. He's got no access to any of his healthcare services, and surprise.
He does have access to money, but you disagree with that access.
No, he's not got access to any money. No, when you say, what do you mean he's got what access? You can't even tell him what balance he's got. He's asked you a specific question. Tell us what balance you've got. He's not got access to his money. I'm sorry, I refuse to accept. He's not got access to his money. Is it unfettered access? It's not unfettered, is it? It's under conditions. Just imagine this, that you put, look, I mean, you would not accept this. You get paid for your salary and you go straight into your bank account. Just imagine if the bank account turned around and said, I'm sorry, but we want you to do X, Y, and Z before we give you the money. You would be dismayed. You would say, no, we're going to take our business somewhere else. We're not going to jump through hoops for you. So when your salary gets paid into the bank, there is unfettered access. Anytime you can go to the bank and say, look, hand over the money. It's my money. All right? Talib cannot do that, can he? You're sending in conditions. He's asked. So, like, for example, you get paid a salary. It goes into your bank account. You can go through, your online banking app, or go to the cash machine, or go to the bank. Say, what's my balance? Nobody's going to tell you to put it in writing, are they?
No.
Yeah, no, because it's your bank. They'll tell you. So why are you saying that Talib has access to his money? Because under conditions that you're setting, which are not constitution, not written anywhere, and you're telling him that, he can't even get his balance. So you're saying, tell me, how is he got unfettered access to his money where he does not even have access to, several months later, he doesn't have even access to his balance?
It's not me who kind of.
No. Look, I understand. Look. It's not a deputyship play. So this issue of, so what's happened here is that, with regards to the deputyship, as I explained to you last time, I was my brother's appointee. All right, DW appointee in 2015. Before that, through Talib's consent and authority, you, the local authority, criminally convicted me of defrauding money as well as his direct payments. All right. Subsequently, I explained to you last time, I never relinquished my appointeeship for Talib. Somehow, the appointeeship got transferred to Adalat, my brother. All right. Now, you're going to say, well, that happened because you were criminally convicted. Well, no, because I was criminally convicted for my mother as well, and I remained her appointee throughout my stay in incarceration and subsequently all the way up to 2019. So how exactly did my appointeeship get transferred off my name and given to Adalat is a source of contention. Then from Adalat to yourself, how did that happen? All right. So, the fact that you become his DWP appointee is only on the back of this deputyship order. Now, in regards to this deputyship order, in February earlier on in this year, I have now presented evidence to the courts, i.e. witness statements from my brother Adalat and my sister Shahida B. Hussain, the fact that at the hearing on the 2nd of January 2018, the local authority were not made his deputy. All right. So you now have a forged or a doctored court order, which is a very, very serious offense in law, because you are now, the local authority are saying that you're his deputy when no judge has authorized you to be his deputy. So this is one of the reasons that my brother cannot accept the money, because you need to explain to me so I can explain to my brother, how have you become his appointee? More importantly, how have you become his deputy when you were not a party to those private proceedings? So this is a very serious matter, and see, this is the situation now. Why is the court order issue not being concluded with? And while the issue is not being concluded with, my brother, a vulnerable person who you, the local authority, have a duty of care to, remains without access to any money and without access to his and you know, as I explained earlier, I cannot get him any health services because, okay, you've suspended his lasting power of attorney for property and finances, because the underlying argument is that I cannot be trusted because I've been criminally convicted by you, the council. But why have you removed his lasting power of attorney for health and welfare?
What, your lasting power of attorney?
No, Talib's lasting power of attorney for health and welfare.
Who?
So my brother.
Got that lasting power of attorney. You have the lasting power of attorney for health and welfare.
So Talib has authorized me to have lasting power of attorney for his health and welfare. All right. And also, since we submitted that, it got registered. Then subsequently, after that was registered, then we submitted another one for his property and finances. That got registered as well. Then the local authority, along with the Office of the Public Guardian, suspended both of them. Because so, can you understand that let's just say, for argument's sake, that I am all the villainous person that you're saying I am, and I've defrauded my brother money. It is understandable why you would remove his financial lasting power of attorney, because there's a risk to his finances because of the criminal conviction. But there's no risk to his health and welfare. So, but you've removed that. So that now leaves me in a position that I can't even act on my brother's behalf for his health and welfare. So why has that been suspended? All right.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Okay, but these questions need to be addressed and answered. So as it presently stands, my brother's got no access to any of his finances. He's not got access because you can't even tell me. He's asked you specifically verbally for his balance, and that's not forthcoming as yet. Never mind having access to his money, because my brother Talib saying, look, give my money to Shazad. You can't give me the money because of the criminal conviction. So he's got no access to his money. He's quite clearly, through this conversation, I've explained to you that I've had to cancel his diabetic eye screening test. All right, because there's no. We don't have any clarity of where he stands. There's no legal framework. There's no lasting power of attorney in place. We don't know what your involvement is. In the backgrounds that our mother's been murdered under very similar circumstances. And more importantly, Mr. Browell, is this: that when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, couple of sessions back, and you had explained to me, oh, I don't want to interfere with Manningham Housing's application to make us, vacate us from the property. And I said, well, what are you on about? Because the Manningham Housing Association have withdrawn their application to evict us, and they've offered us a new accommodation. And he said, oh, okay, all right. And then he just moved on. And then subsequently, you're aware that they've issued a second eviction attempt to evict us from the property. So you were aware then, as a local authority, and this is the contention I hold, is that the local authority are now asking the housing association to evict us, while at the same time they're asking the courts and tribunals to fast track the hearing, and while they commission the services of the judiciary or the judges for an outcome that they've already predetermined. So this is this is what concerns me. In the background, our mother's been murdered, and the fact that we've financially lost a considerable amount of money. I personally lost a considerable amount of money. My items have been removed. So, sorry, Mr. Browell, we're going to look to wrap up the conversation, right? I asked you, I explained to you that I wanted you to tell somebody, the council, that if they attempt to evict us again, it's gonna the care home now is gonna cost the local authority £250 million. Was that sentiment relayed to somebody?
I've added it to notes, and I was going to discuss it with the financial protection team. I don't know who the right person would be to speak with regarding that.
Okay, all right. Well, the legal team, obviously, sir, I'll tell you who the right person is. The ultimate accountability is Kirsten England. It used to be Parveen Akhtar, who was the legal city solicitor. She's left. I don't know who's replaced her, but this is the matter. Now, in addition to that, I need to make you aware, as the council's representative, that over £20 million have been stolen from this property in January when I came back. All right. So that's a further cost that I need to discuss with somebody, because it's unclear who that cost needs to be elevated to. Now, because it was under a joint enterprise that the theft at this property has taken place. So a considerable amount of items have been removed, the total cost of which is £20 million. All right. And so that needs to be relayed. Please, can you relay that to the appropriate person? Because I don't know whether I should pursue the legal action against the local authority, or its joint operative, the housing association, or their agent, my sister Shaida B. Hussain. Because all three of those people colluded and conspired to cover up my mother's murder and remove everything from this property. So is that clear?
Yeah, I've heard what you say. I don't know who I'd speak to. Shazad, surely you don't expect me to send an email to Kirsten England saying that you wrote £20 million.
Well, the thing is, with respect, Mr. Browell, that's exactly what I would like you to do, because alternatively, I've already wrote an email to, as you know, I've already wrote an email to not only Kirsten England, Susan Hinchcliffe, the senior counsellor. I've wrote to every single counsellor in Bradford. I've wrote to numerous other people, I think including yourself, I can't remember, in February, making the clear allegation that my mother was murdered at this property, and there was a clean-up operation in February when I came back to the place. I've then subsequently emailed my mother's social worker and Mr. Kenner, the legal representative, informing that the property was burgled. All right, they've advised me to go speak to the police. I've not done so because I wanted to estimate what the cost of the burglary was, and obviously I have a better indication now of exactly how much the cost of the burglary is, and so that's £20 million has been burgled from the premises. Now, I need to speak to somebody about this. When I've attempted to speak to my mother's social worker, obviously, as you know, nobody wants to speak to us now. But the fact that the property has been burglarized was made clear to the local authority back in February when I came to the property, and I found my sister Shaida B. Hussain pilfering everything from the property. Now, just as an indication of the substantial costs of the burglary, my numerous items have been removed, which I have no clarity of understanding on. My fish tank's been removed. Several of my fish tanks have been removed. My Winchester sofas have been removed. My brand new shed has been removed. My chicken run has been removed. Rabbit hutch has been removed. But the most serious of which is that at the property there was my Bitcoin wallet that's been removed, and that had a substantial amount of cost of the 20 million that's been removed from the premises. I need you to make a note of this, because obviously, as you can appreciate, this is a substantial amount of money that I will be pursuing legally. But at this stage, I just need to know who's liable. Is it the council who kicked me out of the property? Is it the housing association who told Shaida to remove things from the place? Or is it Shaida? Because obviously it's very vague, you see. I just need clarity of understanding who exactly is responsible for the cost. Because obviously, my mum had rabbits at the house. There were budgies. There were many other items at the house that all been cleared away. And it seems to me what was happening was that following my mother's murder, there was a clean-up operation to remove everything from the premises. Now, what you may not be aware of, Mr. Browell, is this, that there was a court order that the local authority had to remove my items and put them into storage. So that's not happened. That's a failure on your part. The local authority should have removed items from this property, put them into storage, and handed them back to me. That did not occur. So there's a violation of the court order. Number two is, I mentioned to you previously, there was £1,000 in cash at the property that the local authority have accepted that they've removed. That's not coming to us. We have no idea who we need to speak to. So these aspects, it's not just the £1,000. It's not just the various items that I've mentioned to you that accumulate up to £20 million. But you understand, I need to speak to somebody about where the liability rise. So can you please make a note of this, that I need to speak to somebody regarding the items that have been burglarized. Now, so that's more to do with my mum's house and my property in the house. Now, but that's outside your scope, because you're just focusing on Talib. I need to make you aware that when I went into Talib's bedroom had been cleared out, and there are various items that have been removed from Talib's bedroom. It was basically wiped out. So that is an issue of concern. Talib has had all his personal belongings removed from his bedroom. He's got no access to his any state benefit money for the last 18 months. He's got no access to his any healthcare services, all right? And his own accommodation is unsecure. How worse can it get for Talib? And I forgot to mention that he did not get to visit or see his mother for the last year of her life, and did not attend her funeral, and has been seriously struggling to cope with his bereavement subsequently. But on the positive, I can see an immense improvement recently, that he's coming out, like he's getting more, like he's been, he's getting more better following my mother's death. But you've not helped, the council have not helped. This is what you've done to Talib. So, Mr. Browell, just to wrap up, can you please make a note of the cost of the burglary that's taken at the place and escalate that to the appropriate person? I trust you will do that.
I'll make a note of it. I don't know how I would escalate it to the appropriate person.
Okay.
I think you're better escalating that.
Well, listen.
It's not really to do with Talib, so.
Well, no, I mean, obviously, the cost of the burglary includes Talib's personal belongings.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is part of it. I mean, the thing is, Mr. Browell, the council, when it suits them, they don't want to see us as a unit. We are a family. Me, my mother, my brother, all right, and even my sister in Oldham, we're a family unit. My other nefarious siblings are not part of that family unit, all right? They're not part of the trust instrument, like Shaida, Khalda, Adalat, all right? And my nieces and nephews, they're not part of the family unit. We're a collective, all right? And you, when it suits your purpose, you're saying we don't want to deal with you as a collective. We only have a responsibility to the patient, i.e. Talib. We don't want to talk to you and so on and so forth. But you have to deal with us as a family, because we have a human right to have a family. And so Talib is part of a family, of which obviously I'm part of that. All right, my mother was part of that. My sister's part of that. He's been burglarized. He's lost all his property. Surely we need to speak to somebody. Now, I record the calls. This call has been recorded. I've formally made the local authority aware. How you choose to escalate that is it's no concern of mine. You're a Bradford Council employee. I've made Bradford Council aware that the burglary that I highlighted in February this year, I've now estimated a cost of it to be £20 million. I need to speak to somebody regarding some of the items that have been removed from the place, namely my mother's jewellery, namely my fish tanks, namely my very expensive Winchester sofas, my brand new garden shed. These are all substantial costs. What I think nobody's aware of is the cost of the Bitcoin wallet, the value of it. But I don't even know if somebody's if they know they've got it, but it's not here. it's been burglarized. So obviously I've been very reluctant to share that information because I thought maybe I could find it, but I can't find it, and obviously it's been taken. So that's the substantial costs. So I need you to make a note of this and have a multidisciplinary meeting. Why don't you need a multidisciplinary meeting with the GPs? You need a single disciplinary meeting with your senior managers, namely Kirsten England, all right? Namely Ian McKenna, the health and well-being director. You need to speak to these senior people because there are going to be consequences. Like my mother's died, her jewelry is still holding on to. My £1,000 you're holding on to. Talib's belongings have been stolen, and we're just told, oh, can you put it in writing to us? This is not acceptable. So, I've just made you aware of it. So you, the council, are aware of it. When can we speak on Friday?
Well, it depends on when I've spoken with Imran. So I will give you a call on Friday when I've heard back from Imran.
Okay, if I don't hear back from you, can I call you back at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, you can do. Like I say, I'll try and speak with Imran. I've got a day off tomorrow. I've got Friday. I'll see if I can speak with him on Friday.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Browell. Okay, well, I mean, this thing with Imran is just basically one or two things are going to happen, aren't they? Either they're going to say no, we're not going to give you information, Talib his balance, or they're going to say yes, this is his present balance. None of those two things are resolving the serious outstanding issues, are they? Talib's access to his medication, all right? Talib's access to his finances, and Talib's security of accommodation. Those are the foundations. You need to have security of accommodation where you're living. You need to have security of income. All right, so you got money coming in, and that's what the state benefits are about, social security. All right, so it's not got accommodation security, not social security, and not healthcare security. And what we need to discuss how to bring about these securities, and simply saying, well, you're not letting us see him, all right, is not acceptable. And simply by saying that we contest his capacity is not acceptable because you've got no grounds to contest his capacity. If you've got grounds, present your evidence to, the matter's already in court with, but there's a matter of urgency. And if you, the council, want to take a lackadaisical backhand approach that, let's just wait until a crisis happens. Every week that goes by, I'm happy for that, because every week that goes by, I'm waiting off a crisis. I'm saving my brother's life, and every week that goes by, £1 million cost is being charged to you, the council. So that's my position. So that's all the things I need to say today.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Shazad. I'll call you when I've spoken on Friday.
Okay. Can you speak to Imran, and can you also try to update me on because obviously somebody wrote out a letter to us, all right? With the legal department or wherever, we need to resolve those issues. Every day that goes by, Talib's not got access to his healthcare, he's not got access to his finances, and there's no security of accommodation. So these are the 3 points that we want to resolve. So when you get more information, please not only speak to Imran, speak to Vicina Brown, speak to Nadia Khan, speak to Ian McKenna, and speak to Kirsten England, or speak to Mr. Kenner, the legal team, or somebody to give us some resolution to how these things can be resolved.
Okay. Yes, will do.
Okay, Mr. Brown.